welcome to South Ucois TV. Happy New Year. It's Tuesday, first show of the year. We haven't been here for 2 weeks, but Ashmatic is back. And obviously, something opened yesterday. Really opened yesterday. So we got to knock it out again. We've got 30 odd days to knock out this transfer window. But Ash, Happy New Year, mate.
Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. How's the family? How's everything going?
That's what I was asking you, mate. I'm all good, man. How are you?
Yeah, likewise, man. We're blessed. Blessed every time, man.
Blessed as always. Well, obviously, we've done 2 games since we last was on. Happy?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to win it ugly. And I'm happy to win different ways and different results. Not different results, different performances. Yeah. So, yeah, overall, I'm happy, man. We could be a lot further away from where we are now. We're like 1 point away from our rivals in Arsenal, and we're quite close to Liverpool, to be fair. So, and we haven't been doing it well. We haven't been playing particularly well, in my opinion. But yeah, we managed to get over the line. Sometimes you just got to do it like that.
And you know what? I think a lot of Spurs fans just peed me off. So I'm not in the best of moods when it comes to Spurs. So I might be negative nearly tonight. But here we go. Anyway, it's not about us. It's always about our 2 guests and who we bring on. So first of all, he hasn't been on this channel now for probably over 2 years. But a great welcome to Jack. Jack, are you well?
Doing well, thank you, Marlon. Buzzing to be back here after like 2 years. I think I was one of the first fan cams after a game. But
was, yes.
Yeah, so I remember doing that. But now it's good to be back. Obviously, I've been on a couple other channels. Got my own channel now with James. So it's nice to be back with the real Spurs community. Good.
But if anyone don't know, Spurs Related is where you can find Jack as well. That's his channel. But the next guest is a veteran. I think I've done too many streams with him. I think Ash, you've done too many streams with him, and I think we might have a certain person watching us tonight, knowing he's going to be on. But no, always a pleasure to share a screen with this guy. But Brian, are you well?
I'm well, but if you've done too many streams with me, I can piss right back off, guys. It's good to be back with you guys on this channel. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful January, or as I like to call it for Spurs fans, excuse-a-wary. So happy excuse-a-wary, everyone. And yeah, looking forward to the month ahead.
First of all, big up to everyone in the chat. As always, we'll try and read all of them out. We'll try and answer your questions, but Happy New Year to you all. But Ash,
yes,
wasn't here for Bournemouth. Brighton. So we're going to start with Brighton first, right? And obviously bring Bournemouth into it as well. Brighton, what happened? Why was we poor? Why was it such a bad, 63, 75 minutes for us?
I just think it was a case of, I think with Spurs, and I speak for myself, I won't speak for anyone else. Big up Mark and everyone in the comments as well. Happy New Year to you guys, if I haven't said that already. But me personally, I just thought the Zerbi got it spot on. And I personally think we were a little bit sloppy in us playing out from the back. And I think our transitions weren't quite coming off the way they normally do. Now, why was that? I just felt like in the final third, we had quite a few opportunities, but we weren't clinical, in my opinion. Like, I actually missed the game. I'll be real. I actually missed the game live, but my WhatsApps was going mad. I was thinking, what's going on? I looked down, I see 2-0. I said, all right, cool. I come back, and like the game was done 4-2. I watched it back because I'm thinking, all right, everyone's going to be like, oh, everyone was just going crazy how poor we were. When I watched it back, I was expecting Wolves. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting Wolves kind of performance. But I kind of clocked why everyone was so miserable. It's because we went 4 goals down with no reply. So I'm like, it makes sense because that first half was 2-0, but I think we just was not clinical. It was that front 3 for some reason was not working and we weren't finishing our dinner. Then it kind of compounded on the second half And to be fair to Brighton as well, because they were going a little bit more direct than we thought they normally would, they also could have had a lot more goals. Like they had a goal offside, they hit the post. Do you know what I'm saying? And everyone was like, oh, defenders, it's all their fault, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really think it was the centre-back's fault. I just think the front three just was off it really bad, Kulu included. I just think like when we were trying to have our chances, we just weren't getting it in. Second half, similar. I think towards maybe the last part of the second half is when we started to really turn it on. Obviously, that's when we got our 2 goals. But I think the second half was a lot better than the first, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I can say. I wish I prepared a little bit better. A lot more context to this actual argument.
No, I only wanted to quickly bring it up, and I'm going to ask Jack and Brian 2 separate points on the games. But Jack, the point I wanted to bring to you, and Ash just obviously there as well, spoke about it there, but I wanted to speak about the front three for you in that game, and especially with Richarlison, because everyone said he was back, right? And I know we've had the Bournemouth game, so take it right as well after that, but everyone said he was back, but he was offside way too. It was Richarlison from last year for me, right? But how did you take that front three as a free, including Kulu as well?
Yeah, I feel like our front three this season is very hot in moments, and when it's clicking, we're fantastic. But consistency, sometimes we don't have it. And I think with Brennan Johnson, I'm going to start on him. I think a lot of fans can see he's a man with so much potential. But I felt like in that game specifically, with Brighton playing a high line as well, I thought he would really get at their defenders. I think Igor started left back, and I felt like there was a couple of times where he potentially was through and where he could have driven with the ball, used his pace. One the chance screams to me is where he was played in through on goal, but he didn't trap the ball. And if he trapped the ball well and used his control, then he would have been 1-on-1 with the keeper. So I feel like there was a couple of times where we didn't quite capitalise on the opportunities that we created. And that's been the story when we've dropped points this season, when we're carrying on creating chances, but we're not being clinical in the final third. Richarlison, I think, needs to hold his line better. Specifically in that game, there were so many chances where Kulusevski kind of delayed the pass through to Richarlison, but in reality, they just didn't quite have that synergy together. I would have liked. Then again, I'm in Richarlison's camp that he's improving game in, game out. I think ever since that surgery, he's definitely improved. He's Marlon, 5 goals in 5 games. Screams for itself. I'm going to get on to you because I can see your face there. You've got to be honest. You've got to be honest with the statistics. And I think he's a guy who's scoring. Brennan Johnson is putting in some fantastic first-time crosses into the box. But then again, it's still a long way to go where we want to be with this Tottenham team. We're far from perfect, but I think it's coming.
Brian, I wanted to speak about positive with you in that game. And the biggest positive, and I know you're a big fan of him, the defence, I do agree with Ash. I don't think the defence was as bad as it was made out to be. I think our midfield and our front three just let our defence down because we did have Royale there. But Vicario, if he's not in goal that game, what happens?
Newcastle is what I would say. Newcastle happens if he wasn't in goal. What I will say before we come to him is you were talking about defence and an attack. I think a big reason that we lost against Brighton was midfield. Everyone was very, very quick to jump on Richarlison for always being offside. And don't get me wrong, it's something he has to improve on in this game. He has to improve on it. But there's sometimes where you have to look at the speed of pass and the speed of thought process of the players playing that pass. If there's a Maddison or Bentancur on that pitch, those balls get played earlier. And Richarlison is onside because it's their speed of thought process. Not saying he would have taken them, but I'm saying he would have. Listen,
I agree, Brian. That's my biggest problem.
Hit the post, one just went wide. This time last year, that's going high, wide. He's falling over. He doesn't have the confidence. He's not in the space. We have this habit of jumping on players that have got a little bit of that people will jump on. The midfield was a huge letdown. Listen, everyone was a letdown, apart from the person you asked me about, who I've been saying over the last week is pound for pound value, the best signing in the summer transfer market in the entire world. 17 million euros for Vicario is one of the most shrewdest and incredible pieces of business that this club done. It's unbelievable. He is. I used to say Hugo Lloris, when he first came, our defence was so crap that he used to make at least one world-class save every single game. Well, this guy's doing it, and then some. I cannot give you any more praise than I reckon he is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this year. So far, obviously, Alisson I rate as the best goalie in the league. I think he's the best keeper on form in Europe. I think this guy is just going to be, when we're talking Alisson world's best, it won't be long till Vicario is pushing him to be number one. He is sensational.
Ryan, quick question though.
Yes.
Do you think that the media would have picked up on Vicario if we were still in form? Say we still had our players, we still had the Van Ven and Romero's at the back, and he wasn't making all these saves he is now. Do you think anyone would have picked up on how good Vicario of a signing he was, or do you think it's down to the fact we've gone from 0.9 goals a game to over 2 goals per game?
It's a bit of both, Marlon. If I'd be deadly serious, listen. He made. I mean, against Chelsea, forget goal of the month, save of the month should have just been Vicario goal 1, goal 2, save 1, save 2, save 3, save 4. He did it against Manchester United. The defence looks a lot more assured knowing he's back there. Looked incredible when the two main guys were there, but without them two, it has obviously been highlighted, because if you haven't got a defence to keep them at bay, you're going to create chances, and it's whether they take them. The save from Danny Welbeck, the second one at 0-0, is absolutely staggering. What I love about him, and he did it in the double save against Liverpool, once he's gone to ground, his reactions to get back up and his change of direction and his fit and his the way he uses and plants his feet on the ground is just second to none. He's just magnificent. He is absolutely outstanding.
Ash, so let's go to Bournemouth now, right? And a big change against Bournemouth was, and Brian has said it, midfield 3, right? We went from Højbjerg, Sarr and Kulusevski to Bentancur, which was like the best late Christmas present we could have had, New Year's gift. Lo Celso and Sarr. Was that a reason it was so massively different from the Brighton game?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of things. I think when we're looking at Bournemouth, we were at home. I think we're a completely different animal when we're at home. And as you said, the fact that Bentancur was in the side, the energy, the lift it gave to the crowd, that also helped to lift the players. I think playing out from the back when Bentancur, Sarr and Lo Celso were playing, we made that the transition from out the back, the speed of passing was a lot quicker. Albeit that sometimes, because Bentancur was his first game back, he did make a few misplaced passes, and Lo Celso was the same as well. But in general, between him and Sarr, what he brings to the table, he's able to carry the ball forward into space. But not only that, he has the ball in tight spaces, and he's able to play in that kind of fullback position, which actually helps out Porro. So when we're trying to play out from the right, Sarr can kind of drop in, and he can help us kind of venture forward. And sometimes we didn't always go through playing out the back. Sometimes we went a little bit more direct. So it was like 2 or 3 passes, and then we go over the top, and we try to look for Brennan Johnson in running into the channels. So I thought that helped with the way we played, because we were trying to ask different questions to Bournemouth. Whereas I think with Brighton, we were kind of doing the same thing over and over again. This one, we were like, can we transition a bit quicker? Can we hit them on a counter-attack? Can we kind of open them up in a different way? So I just think that midfield dynamic, you've got 2 midfielders in, or 3, should I say, that are all confident with the ball.
You got to include Skip as well, because obviously he came on in the 32nd minute, and
so that's when it changed. I think that's when it changed. I think that's when we started to lose a little bit of control. Mm-hmm. Skip lost the ball constantly. Literally got on the ball, he kept losing it, and I don't know if it was a bit of confidence from him, or it was just a thing where a little bit of quality lacked. But he couldn't stay on his feet. He couldn't get hold of the ball. He kept giving it back, and it gave Bournemouth, it gave them a bit more confidence into that game. And I think that's when it started to kick. Actually, I watched it. Some people say the first 30 minutes, but I think the first 40 to 45 minutes. I reckon they added on 7 minutes, and I think that's when things started happening. And credit to Bournemouth, because like I say, people want to say, oh, Tottenham are poor. No. Bournemouth are a good team, and they've got a good manager, and they play some good football. Because what I saw was Sinisterra, he used to play for Leeds, and I saw Clive coming towards that left channel, and they were playing some good football. They were opening us up. And then what they did sometimes, they wouldn't always stick on the left. Sometimes they'd go to the left, put it through to the middle to Christie. Christie would switch the play. And then sometimes we would do a reverse pass. And that would open us up in a different way, because it's not like it's just those the possession were given up down the side. Sometimes they'd switch it up. So I have to give credit to the way that Bournemouth played. And if actually Solanke had his shooting boots on, he might have got a few more goals. He might have got a few shots on target. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way I saw it. I wasn't just all Spurs being sloppy, and I thought Bournemouth played well, especially towards the end of that first half.
So, Jack, I just wanted to bring you in on that. Obviously, we spoke about the defence against Brighton, but obviously the midfield three had changed for this game, right? Yeah. And as Ash said, it felt like a lot of the gameplay, especially after about 20 minutes, especially when Salah went off, and then up until around, I think it was I can't remember what the time was, substitutions now that they made. The 61st minute it was about.
Yeah.
It was just all Bournemouth. And that's what seems to be the highlights in all the games so far. But do you think, because the midfield three were Bentancur, Skip, and Lo Celso, that our defence was a bit more solid, and actually they were a bit more robust and knew what was coming at them? Or did you see it completely different?
No, I agree, especially with the Bentancur point. I think even though it definitely wasn't his best game in a Tottenham shirt, if you bring someone of the calibre of Bentancur back into the midfield, I was there at the stadium and you could see how much everyone was so much more confident and uplifted, that everyone's screaming like, we've got our midfield general back. He's just so technically elegant on the ball. He's so composed. And as a fan, you just feel a lot more assured when he's in the middle of the park. And I actually quite like to see him play in the 6 role, because the difference between him and Højbjerg is he's happy to collect the ball in the half turn and he's not afraid of the people behind him. Højbjerg kind of shies away. I'm actually not going to scapegoat Højbjerg too much, because I think off the ball he's not as bad. But when you're talking about an Ange Postecoglou team, you need someone who's comfortable in possession, someone who can straight away turn defence into attack, and that's exactly what Bentancur does. So bringing him back was huge. I was so impressed by Lo Celso. In my opinion, man of the match. I think he's come under scrutiny by a lot of Tottenham fans this year, and rightly so, before the start of the year. But he's come in, he's really took to this number 8 role. It seems like he's living and breathing in Tottenham now. He actually wants to be here when he didn't seem like he wanted to be here before. And he could be a Tottenham midfielder who has the creativity, but also the defensive work rate that Ange needs. So I'm really excited with the prospect of Bentancur, Lo Celso, Kulusevski, Maddison. We're talking about players, we're talking about serious squad depth in the midfield, which we've been missing in previous years.
Brian.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about, did Bournemouth play into our hands a little bit when they took off Cliver and I can never pronounce the other guy's name, the guy from the Sinisterra, yeah. Did they play? Because it seemed to be that Lo Celso, especially, as Jack said, Lo Celso really came to life as soon as those two came off. And it seemed to be that Tottenham then took it up again. Was that a big moment of the game, or was there another moment, or was Spurs starting to come into it for you?
Do you know what? It was such a strange game for me. It was, when I look back at that game now, it was, we got the job done. That's what, listen, this time last year with a Conte team, we don't get the job done. This time, 2 years with a Jose Mourinho manager, do we get the job done?
No.
I don't think so. There's just this tenacity with this football club at the moment where they can grind out results as and when they need it. Bournemouth, I think, played extremely well, and Bournemouth are no mugs. And from a manager that was on the verge of getting the sack to being one of the most informed Premier League teams, takes some big respect for the pool that Bournemouth are working with, their financial restraints that they work with. And they played really, really well. And I think, to tell you the truth, once Sarr went off, we fell flat. The midfield, again, like we said about Brighton, took their foot off the gas or couldn't get into the game. And this could have been because the midfield we're playing with, and we're so injury ravaged, these teams have only just played with each other on the training pitch. They haven't had minutes on the grass where this is the real deal and not just soft training or pre-game planning. And let's face it, Bournemouth created chances. I was on a stream with Sean Butler today, and Sean was right. Sean said, you know what, when you play this way, we're going to give chances away. We are going to give chances away. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. It just matters if they're big enough and clinical enough to take them. And they didn't. And I was watching the Scotland Yard, and as soon as Alex Scott came on, I was sitting next to a guy, and I was like, right now the game changes. I guarantee he has he has some kind of say in this game. Got one goal, could have had two very, very easily, but we got the job done. We've got major injuries. The team is changing weekly because someone is getting injured. Suspensions, and we're 1 point behind Arsenal. We're 3 points, or now with Liverpool's win yesterday, a little bit more. I think 6 points behind Liverpool. If someone had said that to me at the beginning of the season, I would have been all. If someone had said everything that happened to Tottenham this season, and you'll be 1 point away from Arsenal and 6 points off top, I'm taking that all day long.
100%.
It's a quick question for Ash.
Mm-hmm.
So, this time last season,
Yep.
we're on 33 points.
Yep, correct.
And we're on 39 this year. So, it's 6 points better off.
Yep.
Right? And I know everyone's talking about Conte this, Conte that, but at the end of the day, we're only, 1 win better off, and we've lost two less games. Should we not have been expecting at least some sort of change this year and a bit of a positive one? Because I know we're talking about we're only a point off Arsenal, but Arsenal have had a massive drop compared to last year. So is it that much of a great lift that we're here, or is it just a case of we should be expecting this as Spurs fans, or did we just underachieve because last year Conte was achieving things with a crap side too?
To be fair, on Conte, the wheels only came off when he actually walked away, Southampton.
Yeah.
And that's because he wanted to get third. Because the type of manager he is, he's a winner. And he has a high expectation. He takes nothing else less.
But the reason why I'm asking the question as well, because Brian obviously said earlier, right, we didn't get the job done last year. But if you look at the contrast between the two, both this year and last year, yes, we've had injuries. We had injuries last year too to key players at Conte. So actually, we're not that far off. But in everyone's eyes, because we're playing better football, which is I'm not going to deny, but Conte hadn't done a bad job considering what he had.
Perception is everything, my friend. Perception is everything. And football's about emotion at the end of the day. And I think emotionally right now, because people are enjoying the brand, the style, footed people, the players are being more brave. Even the style of football of the midfielders, they're a lot more aesthetically pleasing to watch. This is the type of football that you want to see.
Benton Cole was brilliant last year, though.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with your point, because I think Spurs look better when we counter-attack, when we do those fast transitions and we have those high turnovers. Yep. Sometimes when we have possession, we kind of play around with it too much, and teams are able to defensively sit back and they're able to figure us out. So some people are like, well, these last 4 or 5 performances, has Ange been figured out? Like, do we need to find a new way to kind of break these teams out? I personally think sometimes let the other team have the ball just so there's space in behind. So you've got Richarlison's able to drop in that hole. You've got Son space, he can run in behind, or Brennan Johnson's got space to run in behind. We can hurt teams in different ways. We don't always have to have the ball and have 60% of the possession. We can find other ways to open them up. But yeah, like I said before, it's all about feeling. And because we had so many injuries, I think that's what it is. I think if Maddison, I know everyone says it, but it is what it is, bro. I'll be real. If Maddison was here and Van der Ven were here, like, do you know what I'm saying? And then Bentancur come back, and Like this, it's because when Højbjerg has the ball, and Jack's already alluded to it, and so has Brian, it's the speed of thought. He wants to take a touch, or he's just not sure. He's just not sure that he can play that first time pass into the pockets. Then naturally, then Richarlison's onside or Son's onside. Because how many times have we seen Son go offside as well? It's not just Richarlison that's been offside; it's Son as well. And then for me, the fullbacks, and I said I wanted to bring this up. Because we play a 2-3-5, you're seeing Destiny Udogie and you're seeing Porro higher up the pitch in the box. Their first thought isn't always to shoot, but they're in shooting positions and they need to take advantage, in my opinion, and they need to start putting their shooting boots. Because I thought Udogie against Bournemouth, he could have scored, but he's looking for Son, or he's looking for a pass. And even Porro in the first half, he put it through the defender's legs. Could have shot, but he turned outside and then the ball was ushered outside for a goal kick. But really, he needs to be more assertive. And I've seen it in other games where the ball's gone over the top. He should hit the volley first time, but he's trying to cross it. I think it was against Aston Villa that happened. So there's times when the doggies had a shot. I think it was against Brighton, not Brighton. It was against Bournemouth, and the keepers just blocked it. But I think if we're going to have those fullbacks in the pockets, in those channels, those half spaces, they need to be in that box. They need to start shooting. They need to start doing a little bit better. And that's going to alleviate the pressure from the rest of the team, because we can't just rely on a Son or on a Richarlison, especially now Son's going to the Asia Cup.
Jack, obviously wanted to bring you on this point as well. And actually, this Callum's actually made me laugh a bit. But the difference between this and we're 6 points, right? So it's a slight change, right? But we're playing better football. But Conte versus Ange is like Moyes versus De Zerbi tonight. I know which side I'd rather support.
By the way, what was the score?
0-0.
Okay.
One-sided. If it was Areola, I think West Ham would have been absolutely screwing. But yeah. But for you, what have you seen as a Spurs fan? What have you seen as a dramatic change from us this year to next year? I know, look, everyone has gone and said, oh, we're only 1 point behind Arsenal, this, that, and the other. But Arsenal 10 points worse off than last year, right? Yeah. So for us, if this was last year and Arsenal had 40 points, we're only 6 points behind them then. So it doesn't look so bad. Is that the reason why everyone's looking at it with different contrasts? Because Arsenal are not sitting on top, they're now sitting in fourth, and we're only 1 point behind them.
Well, look at it this way. I'm not even looking at Arsenal. I'm not thinking about what they're doing. I'm thinking about how much this Tottenham side has changed drastically in the space of 9 months. You're talking about a massive mentality shift. You're talking about a huge footballing philosophy shift. You're talking about playing free at the back, very conservative, looking to play it to the fullbacks, to whip the ball in, to then play to your star striker, Harry Kane. You're getting rid of your star striker, Harry Kane, who is the best player in the world, well, up there with one of the best players in the world. And now you're relying on scoring goals throughout the team. For Ange to bring across this football philosophy in such a short amount of time and create this amount of chances already, I think it's phenomenal. And I think, yes, we might only be 6 points ahead of what we were last year, but Conte was playing such dire football and no one really wanted to go to that ground. Everyone was turning up thinking, I'm just going to see my mates. I don't even care about the result. The negativity surrounding the club, especially after December, was huge. And now everyone's turning up to the game, waiting for Freed for Desire, the song at the end. It's just such a good feel-good factor. And I think as a football fan, you want to be entertained. Of course, the priority is results, but number one, you want to be entertained. And for him to bring this side of football and results, drawing against Arsenal, competing with the very best in the league, beating Liverpool that we always struggle against, is showing that mentality shift whilst bringing the free-flowing attacking football that we deserve. Well, for me, it's huge.
Brian.
Yes, sir.
How, for me, right? Because obviously I know your feelings towards the club. I know, I've been there, I've seen it, and I know what it's like. But I've seen a change in you this season that I wasn't expecting as much, right? So for you, what has Ange changed in you right now to be going, actually, I like what I'm seeing?
So let's just say there has been a change in me. I'm trying to be calmer. There's one man that can swing that very, very quickly. And listen, I've gone down the road of, rather than snapping at everything and believing everything, just hold back and wait. Listen, you two below know me very, very well, know what I've done, what I stand for, what I've done with other people. and it puts a target on my back. And it put a target on my back beyond football. And I'm just like, do you know what? I'm not letting this affect my life like it was. Don't get me wrong. When he screws up, I'll be back raging like a madman. But I'm just not letting it affect me with trolls and whatever. The difference in the club is I want to see a team compete. I want to see a team that when they go on the football pitch, they give everything they've got from minute 1 to minute 90. And if you lose, you lose to a better team. It's not, oh my God, we let one goal in and we collapsed. It's not what Ange Postecoglou has done. And I went to the Emirates, the 2-2, just before I came back to Toronto. And I went there. It was my first time, big up Josh. It was my first time going to the Emirates, going down the filth. And I just said to myself, please just put in a performance. If we lose, we lose. But we've gone there so many times and just collapsed. And it's been embarrassing. I was like, just go there. And if we lose, we lose. But I can say, do you know what? And that performance, to me, is still performance of the season. Because when 1-0 down to that own goal, heads normally would have dropped. You see Sonny putting his arm around Romero. You see Vicario doing it. We get an equaliser. Then there's a dubious penalty, which, let's face it, was a penalty. Within a minute, they're back on it. We could have... The togetherness of this team and what this man has done in, half a season. He's got players there that have still been there since Poch that couldn't apparently play in the systems of other managers. Well, he's done it. The football, he said to James Maddison, come to Tottenham or not, the football, you're going to see a different Tottenham. Boy, have we. Boy, have we. In those first 10 games, I think we had more shots in one game than we probably did in 3 months with Conte.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. I'm being saying a joke. I think the football we've got, you've heard all the pundits saying that we've gone from the most boring and lackluster football team to the most enterprising and most enjoyable team to watch. And we've got a manager that gets the don't. Let me just we have just gone. We're entertaining him. We've got a manager that press conferences. Not only that other teams want to hear him, it's so refreshing to hear. It's not rinse repeat. Yeah, okay, yeah, the team this, the team. He will take responsibility. He will take ownership, and he just gets what it is to be a Tottenham Hotspur manager. The other managers we've had recently have come because of the paycheck and because of their egos and they're out of work. Well, this guy wanted to come to Spurs. Didn't have to come to Spurs, but wanted to come to Spurs. And there's been a huge difference. He's incredible. It's all Ange. It's all Ange Postecoglou, the upsurge in Tottenham Hotspur. Don't get me wrong, some players coming in have helped. But I've never seen a manager take to a football club as quickly as he did. Look how it was for those first 10 games. Insane.
If there was one thing you all, and this is the one, I don't want no answer behind it, right? If there was one thing you could change about Ange, right? Considering what we've had 20 games with him, what's one thing you'd change about Ange going forward if you could? Yeah, Brian, I'll start with you. One thing.
It'll be a toss up between substitutions and in-game management, but I think I'm going to go. Either one, you're looking at it, 9 times out of 10, he's winning. So you're going like, I don't understand why you did that. And then we come away with the 3 points. You're like, I don't care why you did it. It worked. I just think sometimes it's substitutions. I'm going to stick with substitutions. Like, for instance, with Jamie Donnelly. He's done it twice now, where Jamie Donnelly's been ready to come on and get a few minutes. And then all of a sudden it's like, sit down again. I'd like him to get a little bit more of the youngsters on and be able to play them in these minutes. So, yeah, if I had to change one thing, Marlon, I'm going substitutions.
Jack?
I would agree. For me, I wouldn't change much about Ange at all. I think it's crazy how much he's changed this club in a short amount of time. But if we're being really nitpicking, then it's got to be the same.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm nitpicking.
Yeah, and we have a right to do that to create the content. So I think, subs, maybe some smarter substitutions in certain moments, maybe when it's not quite clicking. But it's hard to, because we've had the injuries as well. So to say subs, brilliant, but you're bringing on a Hill that doesn't look like he's going to score if he plays 100 games. Sometimes when you bring him on, it's a tricky one. But like you say, maybe smarter substitutions could be the option.
Ash, go on, hit me. What's yours?
maybe a little bit of transparency on the academy situation about the players.
No, I'm glad you said this because this was one thing, and I remember me and you, and I'm trying to cut you, right? But me and you did a thing on him, and the one thing we were quite happy about was that he, and even Celtic fans said, he'll trust the youngsters and play them. With all our injuries, we've seen what? Like they've all collectively, our academy players have probably got about 5 minutes, if that. And that was, I think, Donnelly. Was it Donnelly who came on against Man City? I can't remember. And then one recently against Brighton. It's for me. It's a bit
Donnelly and Police, really, hasn't it, Marlon?
Yeah. But even Police, we bought in. I don't class him as an academy player.
Yeah. There's a reason for that. Sorry to interrupt, but
but this is the question: is our academy as good as what everyone thinks?
I totally see it. It's great to see the Tottenham Academy products coming in. But I think Ange is kind of giving the players that we've brought in, the players that were already there, some sort of respect. There's almost a pecking order. And the Tottenham players that have come on the bench that maybe weren't performing before have kind of proven that they deserve to come on before the academy products. They'll get their time. But the players like Dorrington, the players like Phillips, the players like Donnelly, it's a slow, steady process. Like Dane Scarlett may be coming back into the fold. I feel like you've got to show respect to the players that have played well. And then eventually, if they're not, then they'll be fed through the club. You don't want to rush them in straight away. Donnelly, we see as a player that could be a starter for Tottenham for the next 10 years. If he comes on, gets absolutely bullied off the ball and knocks his confidence, then you're looking at another unsuccessful academy product. I think he's managing the academy situation right now. But I can see the alternative argument as well.
No. I totally agree with you. But I think the thing for everybody at the moment is like, forget Ben Davies, forget Royale. Is why is Eric Dyer coming on? And like, let's take Sunday in prime example. 3-0 up, Eric Dyer comes on. What happens? We can see. Well, Nelly conceded 2, and I'm still dubious. I think the second one should have counted. I don't think it was offside, but the lines weren't drawn, and I don't know what it was. But we don't need to see Dyer. He doesn't want Dyer. Why bring on Dyer? it's just, and that's just me. Ash, carry on, because it was your question.
Yeah. No, I was going to go around a different way because Sar's quite a young player, and we're going to talk about him in a bit. But the reason why I just brought him up was because of his age. And so if Sar's the level where we need to be at, or what Ange reckons this is the level it needs to be at, maybe he's looking at those academy players and thinking, how do these defenders play under pressure, under the lights? How do they pass when someone's running at them? Do you know what I mean? Defensively, they could be great, or vice versa. It could be that they could be great on the ball. They know the system, they know how to play it. But again, the difference between the under 21, academy football to the men's elite football, Premiership's played at 100 miles an hour. And again, 60,000 fans screaming your name off, heads off. It's an unknown. It's an unknown quantity, and obviously, Ange sees them in training. We're not privy to it because it doesn't make sense for us. It's like we know what Dyer is saying. Why?
We'll 3-0 up. This is my thing. Like for me, right? No matter how crap they were, and as you said, right? You said the Premier League's a different animal, right? And the academy. I get that. I completely get that. But when you're 3-0 up against Bournemouth with about 10 minutes to go, right? And you are going to have to make that sub. Is not the best. Is that not the for me? Is that not the best time to see them? If they're good enough to be on the bench, they're good enough to play for your first team.
I hear it. Did that goal though come from Dyer's side? Because Dyer was on the right hand side, and I'm pretty sure it was on the left. Left?
No. It came across from their left over to the right. But Dyer was well out of position. So
no. The rest of the defense were out of position. Dyer was in the perfect place. Get it right. Come on. Dyer's always immaculate with his positioning.
There we go.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure because I didn't want it to do. Because me personally, I don't like to do the whole scapegoat thing. Because
no. With Dyer, no, it's not Dyer. The reason why Dyer is brought up in that situation, right, is because the back four were playing as a line, as a unit. But for some reason, when he comes into that unit, right, he might, like as Brian said, he might be in the right position, but then everyone else is thinking, oh crap, I've got to now cover it because Dyer's not doing something that he should be doing. And it just ends up messing up with the rest of everything. That's the only thing.
Just to get to the bottom of it, because Royale was still on the pitch, right? Royale and Davies were on the pitch. Or did Royale come off? Just to remind me.
Who came off?
Who came off when Dyer came on? Because what was our back for? That's what I want to know. Did over? did Davies shift over? Like, what happened there? That's what I want to know.
Can't remember. So
Johnson and Richarlison came off.
Right.
So Johnson and Richarlison came off. Dyer and Valise came on, and so did Hill. Who else came off?
So that means that we still have
also came off.
We still have Rael and Davies at centre back. So where was Davies going then?
Davies would have gone left back.
Did Davies go left back? Or
I imagine, but didn't Destiny go off as well?
No, Destiny stayed on. The whole back four stayed on.
Oh, God knows then. God knows.
That's what comes on for me. Like, what was Ange like?
So did he confuse the whole situation by bringing on Dyer in a position where the defense
because it looked like it was a straight line more or less, but then
this doesn't go back to this is Ange's weakness. Is this going back to that? His substitutions, because he's brought on Dyer in that situation. He's kept the back four, but Dyer looks like he's come on and not knowing where he's meant to play.
This is my point.
Which is not Dyer's fault. I'm not completely blaming Dyer, and this is what I'm saying. This is where sometimes for us, and this is why I'm asking the questions, because Ange is near perfect for us. Don't get me wrong, but there are some situations like that where it's going to happen. Where if Dyer doesn't know what he's doing, we're going to concede.
The only thing I could argue, Marlon, is that if you're bringing on Dyer, a man with much more experience, yes, he's not up to the level. We all have figured that out as Spurs fans. If you bring on Phillips and Dorrington, who are your brand new academy products who you want to see come into the team, if they misplace a pass or make a mistake, they're probably going to knock their confidence. At the end of the day, we know Dyer's probably going to be out the door already, and we're 3-0 up with 10 minutes to go. Even with bringing on Eric Dyer, I'd like to think he can close that out.
Do you think though? Look, and this is me asking you back. You say not their confidence and whatnot like that, but the way, like we've all said, the team is one unit at the moment, right? Yeah. They're all together, and if we saw a Dorrington or a Donnelly come on, and as fans we see them misplace a pass, to be fair to us, we're not going to get on their back. This is an academy youth product. We're going to give him time, like we gave Winks time, like we gave Skip time, and everyone else. So would we get on their back if he does? And would the back four and the players on the pitch and Son, your captain, this is where Son comes into play. If he does misplace a pass, then it's for him to go, don't worry, we'll go to the next one. And it happens all the time. How many times has Destiny Udogie made mistakes? How many times has Porro made mistakes? So,
of course, and I totally see your reasoning, but I think that game was still there. There was still a slight chance that Bournemouth could have got back into the game with a couple of goals. And I just think Ange probably trusted Dyer slightly more, as crazy as he may be. He sees him every day in training. And if he thought Dyer has like a better chance of closing out the game, then I trust him for that. I think, yes, we like to see a Dorrington. Yes, we'd like to see a Phillips. But he's the man in training every day. And if he thinks Dyer can have a couple decent games in a Spurs shirt, then I'm going to trust him, even if it's crazy as it might be.
No, good point. Good point. Ash.
Yes.
Let's forget Bournemouth now. Let's forget Brighton.
Yes.
Game's done. 20 games in. As everyone said, 1 point behind Arsenal. But guess what? What opened yesterday?
What happened yesterday?
What opened? What's the big thing everyone comes here and talks about?
I don't. What happened? It's something like a window, some type of transfer.
Mate, yeah. Who we linked with? Come on.
Yeah,
bring the names out. Yeah, come on, bring them out.
Yeah, we're linked with a few players, man, and I'm gonna get right into it right now. We're linked with Drăgușin. Let's bring him up, man. Apologize for the delay. Let's bring him up. So yeah, we're linked with this guy. He's 21 years old, Romanian. He's 6'3", and he's a unit physically. He's got a strong structure. He's physical. He's a big lad. And what I looked on Transfer Market, I realized that he played pretty much along the whole of the back four. So clearly, we're looking for a player that's quite versatile and adopts the whole total football philosophy. So it's not that he can just play in one role, he can play in multiple roles. So and also in Transfer Market, I realized as well that when he came from Bucharest, it was Paratici that picked him up. Paratici recruited him, and that was when he was at Juventus. So forget Tottenham, he actually recruited him from Juventus, from the Romanian league. And then he was sent out onto loan and then he went to, I believe it was Sampdoria. He went to Sampdoria, did a stint there, played at a fullback. And the reason why he picked him up for Juventus, because he saw him as a right back, and actually he said that he's quite good with his feet, and so that's what Juventus were looking for at the time. So they picked him up, put him to Sampdoria. Then he went on loan again to, I can't pronounce the name of the team, but it begins with an S. He went on loan again, and he went to Genoa, and that was Serie B. And then from there, they were so impressed with him. Genoa offered a price for him, and he went on. I think it was 5 million they paid for him. But anyway, in the system that they play, let's get to it. 3-5-2. They play in a 3-5-2, and Drăgușin plays in the middle. Thanks, Darrell, for that. Yeah, that's the name of the team. So
still can't pronounce it.
I didn't want to butcher it. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So here's some of his statistics. So a lot of fans have been a little bit nervous, me included, when we looked at his progressive passes. This is when I made the video about a month ago when I was researching him. And progressive carries. And this is against the top 5 leagues in Europe, the percentile. But the thing I picked up when I was doing some more research is that he has 82% pass completion. And apparently he's the second best passer in his team. So it all depends on the style of the actual team itself. They obviously don't play high possession football. They don't play with a high line. And he's not asked out that back three to bring that ball out or get many touches. But anyway, here's his heat map. You can see he's pretty much everywhere on the pitch. So just moving on. Here is his goal that he scored. But I want to mention his headering. So his headering is one of his main strong attributes. Apparently, he's the best header or aerial threat in Serie A. He's got the best statistics for it. And these video clips show it. And here's some of his goals as well. So his header is just a force to reckon with. So from set pieces and corners, he could be like another Romero. Do you know what I mean? Someone that's super dangerous. And big up to Romero for this season, for the contribution he's making. But also defending, positioning wise, you can see he's defending the near post, the far post. He's in the center of the penalty spot. He knows where to be. His reading of the game, blocks there, just getting on the end of it, anticipating where the corner is going to be or the free kick. And yeah, just good old-fashioned defending. Blocks there. So a defender you can trust because he knows where to be. So again, coming back to that positioning, he's got a really good knack for knowing where to be, when to arrive, how to get down and stop those things from balls from coming in. And he's going to give a lot of confidence to the team, especially because of this attribute, recovery pace. Recovery pace is quite quick. He doesn't look as fast, but he's actually quite quick, does cover the ground quite a bit. And if the team does lose it, he's able to win that ball back. And this is, as I said before, he's in a lower block team. It's not a team that has a lot of possession, but he's still able to win those balls back. Challenges, this is where he gets compared to like a Romero because he is quite front-footed. Actually, they've actually compared him to a Virgil van Dijk, the Romanian version. So,
oh, you got to love it when they do that, Ashmatic. He's a Macedonian.
I think it's in terms of his confidence, in terms of his leadership, in terms of his being front-footed, the way he's winning the ball up. He's not always going to ground. He's able to stay on his feet and win that ball quite high up. And because he's quite physical, he's 6'3", and he stays in his feet, and his stature is powerful. I think that's the reason why they're saying that the closest thing to him. I'm not saying that he's like for like with Ange van Dijk, but that's the comparison they're gonna link with him. But yeah, as you said, Brian, they would do that on the ball. He likes to play those balls into the channels, the switch of play. I'm really impressed with. So his long ball distribution is really good, actually. That's one thing I did notice about him. And Spurs are one of the lowest teams in terms of switching the play. So I think if we need to kind of do 2 or 3 passes and get it up the field quickly and switch up our play, he's able to do that. And that's Drăgușin for you. Drăgușin.
Quick question, because you didn't mention pace. What's he like for pace?
I did. So I said his recovery pace is quite good, but it doesn't look as quick because that video was sped up. But in real life, when you're seeing it, it doesn't look like he's like rapid like a Van der Ven, which he's not. but he's able to recover quite quickly and get that ball back despite him not looking as fast. His recoveries are actually quite high. So the fact that some of the stats look really misleading, like as I said before, he's able to play out the ball from the back, but because of the style of play and the team, it's almost like I heard someone use this analogy. It's almost like if Van der Ven was playing in a low block, then you basically wouldn't see half of his skill set. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I picked up from when I did my research on looking at this player a little bit closer. Because even I was like, oh, this guy, he looks a bit slow. He's a bit lethargic. His passing, his short passing. I don't know how that's going to be under pressure. But the main thing I want to have, or one main thing I want to say is he's quite raw. Because he's only 21, the good thing is he's played on different systems. So he's played at, as I said before earlier, Fiorentina, the one I can't pronounce, and obviously Juventus. He's also played at international level for under 15s, under 16s, under 17s, under 19s, and under 21s. And he's played 12 games for a senior team, Romania. So the guy's got experience for someone that's such a young age. And I think what Ange is looking at him is actually the main attribute is the bravery. I think that's the player he wants. He wants a person. I think when Davies was on the ball against Wolves, he was like, pass it quicker, pass it quicker, pass it quicker. He wants a player that as soon as that ball comes into feet, he's able to zip that ball with a bit of pace or hit it into the channels. And then that kind of starts our momentum. Because sometimes we've got defenders that want to take a touch and that can kill the move. Because football is all about split seconds and split second decisions. So, yeah, overall, I'm quite happy.
Jack, bring you in on Drăgușin. What's your thoughts on, especially when what Ash has told us, what you thinking about the transfer?
Yeah, just like Ash, I've done quite a lot of my own research, really, just to try and find out what type of profile of defender are we getting.
Yeah.
And when I was watching them first at a glance, I really wanted Jean-Claire Todibo. If I'm being honest, I felt like he was someone who was going to come in straight away, a bit more experience at 24, kind of already getting into the French international team, someone who looked aggressive on the front foot, had the recovery pace, and very calm on the ball. But then the more you look into Drăgușin, he also seems someone who isn't as bad on the ball as people make him out to be. If you play for a lower level Serie A team, someone who's not fighting at the top of the table, like Nice are, they're second in Liga, and you've got Genoa who are at the lower end of Serie A. So of course he's going to make more clearances, and of course he's going to win more aerial duels because he's getting the ball more. But at the same time, he's more comfortable on the ball than people are making him out to be. If you watch his clips, he's extremely aggressive. He's front-footed. He's willing to put his body on the line. And that's exactly the type of Ange Postecoglou wants. He's 21. He's going to improve. And if you just look at him, he's an absolute monster. He's someone you want to see play for Tottenham. He's a beast. And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, how Postecoglou and his coaching staff can develop him into a brilliant footballer. And I'm really excited that it looks like we're moving quickly. We might get a defender in the first week of January. Who knows? He could be partnering Mickey Van der Ven against Manchester United. And then we haven't got an unnatural centre-half playing at the back. I'm really excited about him, Marlon.
No, and great analysis. Brian.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you a slight little turn on it. So obviously, rumours today. He's agreed.
Yes.
Yeah, he's agreed. What do you call it? Contract and everything like that. Fee needs to be agreed. Agents coming out of something completely different, saying nothing's been agreed. Still got some time for the transfer to be done. What do we believe? You know, us Spurs fans are like, well, this is a strange feeling to have a transfer nearly done within 2 days of the transfer window opening. And it just feels like Porro all over again.
Yeah. Listen, what can I say about this? This looked like it was Todibo looked like the one. Then it looked like Drăgușin. Then it was the typical we're 5 million apart, because we've never heard that line before, whether that was from the media or from the club or wherever.
Yep.
Then it's progressing. Then Romano became a little bit more active with this. It's been pinned up on my Twitter for 3 days. There's a reason behind it. And then just before we came on this stream, Napoli are back involved, and then apparently we've offered 13 million less than the 35 that was asked. I'm making sure I don't react how I want to right now.
No, and this is why I'm asking you the question, because we're at a standstill here, because you got one side of the media telling us one thing, you got the other side telling us another. Now, in this whole, like you said, Fabrizio Romano is probably the most legit that we can probably go with when it comes to something like this, and he is quietly confident that this is going to happen. But the agent has come out today and probably put a little bit of a spanner in the works, as they do. I don't know if it's because he wants more wages or he wants Genoa to kind of quickly push through. We don't know. We don't know why he's come out in public and said this. So why are we in this situation?
I don't know, but I will say with this, it just shows what this fan base is typical of. There's people like myself that will give credit where credit is due. And people will know, and Marlon and Ashmatic, you've heard me when it comes to the business side, when it comes to that. I will credit him. I think the signing of Destiny and today of Sarr is absolutely brilliant business from Levy. Well done to him. But I've seen already with this Drăgușin deal currently going, which I've been praising and crediting today. I've already seen Spurs fans who are pro Levy going, "Oh, I can't wait for this to happen and fall through, just so these Levy out people can start bitching and it's like, well, no. We'll credit when credit is due. If something goes wrong, you are allowed to criticize him. It's not a bad thing to say something bad about this football club if you don't think it's right. But this is with this agent, this is what happens. Do I think this deal will get done? Yes, I do. Do I think we were talking about having the Here We Go tomorrow, and he may be there for Burnley or there for United? Maybe this deal's going to take a bit longer. I fully expect it to go through. But if Napoli come calling and offer the money, then this could become a one-horse race into a two-horse race. I think he wants the Premier League. I think the link with Paratici will see it through. But you look at it, and we wanted the defender in quickly. It looked like we were doing that. Don't know if it will be quick. And whatever the rumours are right now, it's 35 mil or 30 mil apparently they want, and we've got 25 apparently on the table. When you've had the third worst defence in the calendar year, bear in mind 2 of our stars have been out for best part of the last 8-9 games, and then when last season you have your worst defensive record in recent Premier League history, the first thing you do is realise you need a centre-back. This deal looked like a home run. It looked like a free hit. We were going to get it done, and now it is looking that there could be complications. Who would have thought it at Tottenham Hotspur? Who would have thought it? But I do fully expect this deal to go through. I really do.
Ash.
Yes.
So, I want this transfer to go through. But my biggest gripe about it is I was told that Spurs were now doing stuff that was new. They were going through this new way of working with transfers, right? But it seems like this is a Paratici man. It's not someone that is come through the new regime that's all been set up where we're going to be scouting players on this, that, and the other. This is Paratici coming going, I think you should get this guy. Why is it not that's the wrong way of putting it? Why is it Paratici's guys are the ones still coming in? When is this new philosophy for Spurs going to be happening? Because if we're still signing players that Paratici is recommending, have we changed at all?
It's a good question, but you have to look at the record at the moment, like that he's actually put through. If you look at Sarr, he's not doing too bad, Romero, Kulusevski. But I do hear your point because you're saying it's a new era, new scouting system, and I do know that Lange has looked at some of these transfers. He's gone over to Genoa. I think he watched the game against Juventus, and he was looking at
last weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was looking at Ilan Jr. at the same time as well because he came on as a substitute. So they are actively looking, but if Paratici's book is stronger than Lange, it is what it is. I'm not going to turn my nose up and say, look, this is a new era because
and that's not it. Because like I said, I still want him to come through. I think it's more to do with I'm being told Spurs are changing. and it's not really. They're not. I'm still seeing the same old Spurs. Paratici was here time before, and he's still recommending players. So the old regime still works. So
but he's done a good job. Can't we all agree on the fact that he's brought in Kulusevski and Bentancur for a combined £50 million, and they've been some of our best players. I think Paratici's come in and done a more than adequate job. I think he's found some fantastic.
He's been 50-50.
I think he's got a good pull. I think he can bring in players that want to play for him. He's in a consultancy role, which obviously means you specialise in something. And he seems like he specialises in Serie A talent. And everyone we've brought through that door who plays for the Serie A has done a brilliant job. And in my opinion, long may it continue. Let him be in the fold, and we'll carry on getting stills. And hopefully we can bring in that experience and quality at the same time. I like the fact that he's in. He's only been in 2 years? Not that much of a long time.
I agree, man. I just think, if you've got a man, as Jack just said, if you've got a man, that's his speciality, that's his area, that's his field, and he knows. Like I said, he was.
What happens when he goes to prison if he does?
Then obviously we've made some contacts, because I feel like they may be sharing contacts. If he's got the book and he's working with the scouts, he's working with the agents. Lange might not have that in Italy or Syria. He might have it in different areas. He might have it in France. He might have it in some of the academies in over here in the UK. So why not use Paratici in that role or that capacity if it's going to benefit the club?
No. And I'm not disgrunting that. My thing is that you still haven't, like, no one's answered the question.
I hear it.
I thought Spurs had changed, but we're not. We're still doing the exact same thing we were doing 12 months ago. But the problem is the manager that came in for Paratici didn't work.
To be fair,
it's taken a man.
It's so early. It's so early. Like, obviously, this is one of the first players we're linked with, and it's a centre back that we strongly need. I don't know if Todibo was a Paratici or if that was Lange. So that'll be interesting to find out. I don't know. I don't know some of the midfield targets or the wingers that we're looking into, if it was Lange sitting down with Ange. No rhyme intended there, but I don't know if them man all linked up and said, yeah, this is what we need, and he's sorting that side of it. So he needs more time. He only started, I believe, in November. Well, so he say, but maybe we need some more time. Maybe we need another window. Maybe we need the end of this window to maybe judge it all. But I do hear your point, bro. Has it really changed? Because it's looking like a Paratici Italian job. The Don looks like he's cooking again. I let Brian jump.
No. Do you know what? Do you know what's really weird? Because I like Paratici. I like him, right? And I know my question sounds like I'm going. But
no, it's fair game.
And Jack's right in the sense of his signings are cooking. But again, they were signed for Conte, not for Ange. And Ange seems to have brought the best out of them. So when he picked the manager he gets the managers wrong, right? Because he's not picking the player. He's picking the players for a defensive one, but actually he needed an attacking one. But then with Paratici, I think some of his signings have been okay. Some of them, he's 50-50. He's very 50-50, right? Because you could look at Galini, you could look at Hill, who have not been great, right? And there's probably more. Richarlison has to probably be included in that. Okay, it's still out, but we can all tell that Richarlison, if we want to be playing Champions League football, Richarlison's not the one for us. And it's a bit like Arsenal with Jesus, right? You're not going to win a title with players like that. It's not the way forward, in my opinion.
All I'd say is, though, if you look at every single football club competing in the Premier League, look how much Chelsea have spent. How many players have actually turned good out of them? A 50-50 ratio when you're comparing it to them is ridiculous.
No. And I think that's quite. I did think that was quite good. And the reason why I totally disregard Chelsea, because Chelsea right now are going through a very transitional period, right, where they've gone from what they had to this, right? And it's always, and at the end of the day, it's always going to happen, right? Any club that changes ownership, Newcastle are going to be the same. They're going to be up and down like a yo-yo, right? But yeah, I'm looking at it going, I don't mind what Paratici's doing. It's just that when people coming out going, Spurs have changed, we're doing things a lot quicker. I'm looking at it going, have we really? We're still the same.
I agree to a point, but at the same time, if you're doing a huge shift in one day, if Paratici is out the door and you're bringing in someone who's never been into the Tottenham environment before, it's kind of hard to let that power shift go on straight away and have all that responsibility on the new guy. at the end of the day, it's Paratici's kind of teaching him along the way, letting him know how things have worked. And then Lange and Robert McKenzie, the chief scout, can put their own spin on it. If they're working together, they're all professionals in that industry. So if they're working together, then you've got more minds thinking different fields. Like you said, you've got a specialist in France, you've got a specialist in Italy. That's more powerful than one guy just getting shoved out the door one day, in my opinion. But I can totally see your point. I just feel like we're starting to get it right a bit more. We're using a bit of Paratici's expertise, but we're bringing in a fresh in Lange, you're bringing in McKenzie, which I like to see as well. So I think we're getting there, boys. I think we're going to make some good signings. I'm excited, but I'm optimistic. So
and to be honest, that is the way to be, right? Yeah, you're younger than us, right? So
I've seen bad, mate. I've seen bad. Trust me.
You've seen bad. We're all Spurs fans, but I can see why you're being optimistic. But for me, I think everything is all over the place a little bit with us still. But I think the reason why we are and I think we've all said earlier why everything's in such a good place is because of Ange.
Yeah.
If Ange hadn't done what he had done, I think we'd still be in that episode of going. I think there'd be still Levy out chants going on in the stands, right at the stadium instead. I think there'd be more people be questioning what's going on a bit more and be going, but why is Paratici still there, right? And all these kind of things. Even though I personally agree with you, I think some Paratici signings have been brilliant for Ange, and I think that's where. But for me, that's where I'm sitting at the moment. Has it really changed, Brian? How do you see it all? Obviously, everyone keeps telling us it's changed. Has it really changed? Is it just a case of Ange just covering up the cracks that were there before, or he's helped give it more time?
Okay, so you're really trying to push. You're really trying.
Brian, without talking about let's put it this way, right? Without mentioning who.
Yep.
Let's just talk about what we're seeing at the moment and everything that's going on.
So one thing I will say with him, isn't it amazing how Pape Matar Sarr's contract was signed, sealed, delivered last week, but they announced it on January the 2nd to say, everyone, look, big things happening. Last week, but let's do that, sir. Things are happening. Things that everyone and here we are. Listen, it could be a great thing. Not saying this is, but that's the way to start off a window and say, here's an announcement. Spurs are already planning for the future. I have 100 million% faith in Paratici. If things get left to Paratici to do things and get things done, we will have a very successful January, a very successful one. And I agreed. This is, unfortunately, this could be, I joke about with Ben and Sim. And I said, last year we had the Daily Porro. The year before we had the Daily Adama. I was like, who's it going to be this month? Ben reckons it's going to be the Daily Gallagher. I think this could be the Daily Drăgușin. The only way we can say things have changed is if I've said on multiple streams, including mine and on my social medias, the only barometer I'm judging if things have changed is speed of player come in. Poch asked for it, never got it. Ange has said it repeatedly. This should have been sorted, ready to go in from September. Right, how do we plan for January? So when January comes, we're ready to support Ange. We look at it now, we're in a better place than we ever thought we would be. But we now have Van der Ven out, Romero out, Bissouma Sarr out for international duty, Maddison out. Thankfully, Bentancur's come back. Son out. We go into this January in a better position, as in close to top of the league, could get Champions League than we ever have been recently. And big old Callum. And the other thing about it is this time, not only do we need players to try and help get the squad over the line, we need bodies. We physically need players in. We are decimated. So the essence of people coming in, the only way he will show that he's changed is if we bring players in early. That's what we need to. The manager has asked for it. The manager deserves it, and the manager should bloody well get it. And that's the only way I will say. Do you know what? Things may be changing, but do it again the next window. Do it again the next window. But if you're going to change, rather than last minute deals and late, go early. Surprise people like myself.
Do you guys think? Sorry to cut you, Brian.
You didn't cut. That was perfect ending, bro.
All right, cool. Do you think sometimes, and it's an exchange because the selling club, they want to delay. The buying club, they want to delay to get the price down. The selling club, they want it to get done early. So they put rumors out there that, in Napoli's are interested, or, another club unknown are interested in putting money down, and they're trying to get the price up. So do you think it's all like, I don't know, back and forwards? They say, look, we're going to offer you this money, like it's bartering right now. And the longer we leave it, the more the price goes down. I know as fans, we want it down today, tonight. But then actually, imagine we got the price down if we waited like for another 2 or 3 days and we got the business done. Would you prefer it to be cheaper?
Be realistic. Not 2 or 3 days, 2 to 3 weeks. Come on.
Yeah, I'll be real. I know it's always an extreme, isn't it? It's always the extreme. But would you, all right then, cool. Would you not prefer us weigh it out, let the price come down, or get that business done early and pay at a high price? So, for example, you could get this brother for like 20 mil, or would you prefer to have them for 35 mil and have them early?
We all want it early. As fans, we all want it early. But we're not the ones with the big checkbooks in our hands. So
this is what I'm saying. Because then imagine you can spend all that money on something else, like another player.
Exactly.
You could go towards.
If you're thinking from a financial point of view, of course you'd wait an extra week. In reality, though, if I'm going to be honest, I think we're going to get this Drăgușin deal done before Manchester United. Yes, I'm an optimistic cap.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. I'm there with you.
Jack, if they don't do it before Manchester United, there's problems.
No, of course. But logistically, I never thought we were going to get him before Burnley. I don't think so. I think they're going to try and drive the price up. We've already seen their agents a bit of a handful trying to get Napoli in the conversation, when we all know that Tottenham are the front runners and they're going to get him in. So, like, at the end of the day, clubs are always going to try and raise their prices. Agents are going to try and do the same. So I'll be very, very impressed by the Tottenham recruiting team if he's in place by the 10th of Jan, ready, had a couple training sessions before Man United. And I think that's good business. And I think that is a sign of a bit of a mentality shift from the recruitment. Maybe I'm going too far, but to get in someone Ange has demanded straight away is a step in the right direction.
Didn't we do that, though, for the World Cup with Conte? We got a player in early. I swear we got like Basuma and them guys in early.
We got a couple in early, but then we didn't get in our priorities early. If you remember, I don't think we brought in a centre half at 8.
We didn't bring in a centre. The centre half that Mourinho was crying out for.
We didn't bring in anyone. So we brought in smart signings we were excited about. But in reality, the whole fan base knew we were screaming out for a centre half and we didn't get that brought in. Right now, we know the priority is the centre back. So if we bring that in straight away, then at least we're solving an issue.
Which, to be and the reason why I'll be a bit peed off if it does take too long, Ange came out after the last transfer window, right? And his quotes were there to say he was just disappointed that he wanted another centre back in the summer window. Yeah. Right? He didn't care about the other positions. He said that was here and there, but he even said he was disappointed about not having another centre back because he probably saw, right, the Romero and Van de Ven situation happening. With the amount of football and the way he likes to play, and especially being in the Premier League, and especially with Premier League injuries going up, right? Because it's not just us, it's everybody, right? Everybody's in the same boat, right? But apart from Liverpool and Arsenal, or Villa, who seem to not be losing any of their big players at the wrong times. But everyone else is losing massive players. So for him to say then, and we're still, if we don't get it sorted before Manchester United, I think for me, I'll be very disappointed in the club. That's just me personally, because he's wanted that since September. And if it's Drăgușin or Toledo or Lloyd Kelly, whoever it is, it should have been kind of sorted already.
Marlon, you know what he's got on his side this time, Lee, or not just his side, the club, is if you go back to Bentancur and Kulu, that month when we pulled him from obscurity right at the death, the month of January, we had 2 Chelsea games in the Carabao Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if both of them had come, who knows, we may have got to a final. We lost 2-0 to Chelsea in the league at Stamford Bridge. Again, could have helped us. And they would have played in a North London derby if the Gunners hadn't done a runner. So there were really important games that they missed. Huge. Last season, with the Daily Porro, they missed the North London derby. They missed the Manchester City game. And there was so there were important games that they missed. This season, with the way this winter break has worked out, they have Burnley, we got United and Brentford, and potentially a fourth round FA Cup if we get through.
Yeah.
So at least this time, it's not a January where there's like semi-finals or big games. Listen, I don't think United are going to come anywhere near the games that they're not there. It's not like a normal January, like game after game after game after game. Or last season, coming back from the World Cup with hardly any rest. In you go, in you go, in you go. So they've got that on their side, but that shouldn't be used as an excuse to say, right, we've got time now. It should be, we should use this time to bring them in quick so Ange can get them on the training ground for 2 weeks, uninterrupted, no game. 2 weeks to get you up to fitness. 2 weeks to get you up to my style of play. 2 weeks so you're ready to integrate with the team. So we've got it on our side, but it shouldn't be used as an excuse.
So can I ask a question? Because actually, this actually brings up a good point, and we did want to speak about Brennan Johnson. There's been a lot of hit and miss about Brennan Johnson this season. A lot of people saying it's a waste of money. Some people saying no, give him time, this, that, and the other. Do you think Brennan Johnson coming in late into the window is the reason why his season, especially with his injuries and everything, have been stop, start, stop, start, stop, start? Jack, I'll start with you with Brennan Johnson.
No, I don't. To be honest, I don't at all. I think maybe if he's coming in overseas and needs time to adapt to the league, then maybe there's
But does he not need time to adapt to Ange's system?
Yeah, but everyone needs time to adapt to Ange's system then, because Ange has just been brought in as a manager, in my opinion. I feel like that's not the reason that he hasn't hit the ground running. I just think it's one of those that he might naturally need a bit more time, just needs to understand the role a bit better. But I'm a massive fan of Brennan Johnson. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think he's going to come good. He's extremely direct. He's fast. We all know his first time finishing can be good. He scored some fantastic goals for Nottingham Forest last year. I just think he needs a bit more time. But then again, we're forgetting Ange's had 6 months. He's done a fantastic job, but there's so many intricate little things that you need to know to really have the perfect Postecoglou system. Like, how long did it take for him to start winning games at Celtic and really get his footballing philosophy across? A long time. We've done well to adapt to it quick, but that's probably because we have stronger players. Once he gets a few players in the January transfer window, once he has a bit more time on the training field, which he will in January, I genuinely think we're going to keep seeing this Tottenham side improving week in, week out. And the likes of Brennan Johnson, like, he'll flourish. I can really see him being a key figure in this Tottenham side.
So do you not think if you brought him in earlier into the season, Madison, like I take Madison and Van der Ven, who came in before the season, have managed to adjust to Ange's way and have managed to, Madison are completely different kettle of fish, right? But we don't know because we brought him in quite early, right? So do you think that's what's not helped Brennan Johnson? Because he's gone from Steve Cooper, right? He's gone from Steve Cooper and he was training with Nottingham Forest. He's done a whole pre-season with them to come in to play Ange's way. And if you look at the way it's all planned out, and it's a completely different type of football that he has to go and play with thing. And he's been injured as well because he's not used to the way it's been done. If he had brought in a lot earlier in the window, do you think actually we wouldn't be seeing the trip? He wouldn't need as much time because he's the Premier League player, remember, as well. Yeah. Van der Ven's not.
But I think you've also got to look at in the fact that with Brennan Johnson, he might not have been available at the start of the window. I think they were very keen on keeping him, if you remember. It turned out they got a few signings in. Maybe they needed to raise some funds at the end of the window, and it was more of an opportunistic signing, which we were keen to make. Regards to Madison, he's 26, 27, leadership skills in abundance. He was already a main figurehead in the Premier League. Brennan Johnson's had a couple seasons at Nottingham Forest, but he's still kind of an unknown quantity. We saw him with bags of potential, and that's why we invested in him. But to say if we brought him in massively earlier at the start of the window with Madison, I don't think we would have seen that much of a difference. Yes, we might have done, but like I said, I don't think he would have been available. So it's all if buts and maybes. It might have worked out, but in the long term, in the next couple of months, I generally think we're going to see a really improved Brennan Johnson, and I'm excited for it.
Ash,
Can I just say,
go on, Brian.
I'm going to say, agree and completely disagree with Jack at the same time. I agree. And where I'm getting with this, I think he's going to be a great player. I didn't understand the transfer at all to begin with. I thought we need a forward, we need this, we need that. I didn't understand it. But when we got him, I was like, let's take a step back and do an Ashmatic and look at what he brings. Let's look what he can do. And I think he is going to be a standout player for us. Within this time next year, we're talking about him, how Forest were talking about him. Where I completely disagree with Jack is I think if he comes early, he has a major difference. He has a major difference because you got players like Maddison, who was made for Tottenham Hotspur. Go create, go do what you do. We need that. We've been lacking it since Ericsson. That was going to work non-stop. We bring in this guy from Notts Forest who came in right at the end of the window. Didn't have any time, like we were just saying, about getting to know Ange's system. Was he at his fitness requirements? We heard Pochettino say how vital it was to get my players in early, so I get a pre-season out of them. With him, so he started playing straight away. Came on against Sheffield United as an impact sub. Then started a North London derby on the left when he's on the right. Got injured. He was playing on the left because of injuries. Then got injured himself. Then came back, started playing on the left again. Started showing bits, then got the concussion or whatever you want to say at Notts Forest when he went off with the head injury, and now has just started playing on the right. And when he has started playing on the right, he looks better. You got to remember as well, Notts Forest, he was the talisman. He was their glimmer of hope. Everything. So he could run, and if he lost the ball, he's like, it was Brennan, don't worry, he'll do something in a minute. He's come to Tottenham Hotspur where that is the case. The expectation levels that this kid has got on him from Nottingham Forest to help us stay in the Premier League, to Tottenham Hotspur fire us into the Champions League, is completely different. And you'd see his work rate has got better. Still needs a lot of improvement. But I think you have seen with Richarlison play. Go back, Man City, the goal for Kulusevski. That man had to get that cross in the right area at the right time.
Yeah.
Boom, delivered. Then on the right, he was, don't get me wrong, Brighton, he was shambolic. I couldn't defend him. I could not defend him, but that goes for a lot of the players. Everton, the pass for Richarlison for the first goal against Everton, bang on the money. Just what we want Kulusevski to do, but hasn't been able to do it regularly. Carbon copy against Bournemouth. On the right, whip it in. There's Richarlison. That kind of goal is starting to remind me of Teddy Sheringham and Darren Anderson corners. That pass, bang in, off you go. I think Brennan Johnson becomes a star at Tottenham. He is just, if he had, not saying, agree with you, I'm not saying if he'd come in early, he would have been all bells and whistles and settled in like Maddison. But I do think he would have had a major difference.
I do. Sorry, just to counter, I totally hear what you're saying, and I can see that point. But I just think the main reason why he hasn't hit the ground running as much as maybe he could have done, don't get me wrong, I still think he's had a decent start, is because of the disruptions. He was starting on the left, he pulled an injury, he's kind of been a bit all over the place. He hasn't kind of nailed that one right wing slot that I think he probably has done now. That's the reason why I think is the main reason why he's had a slower start than some expected. But I like the fact that me and Brian totally agree. We've got a gem on our hands. His explosive pace, his finishing ability, and his...
You tell him, Jack. No, do you know what? And actually, I personally think if we'd have brought him in early, I think some of this would have been, I think he would have probably hit the ground running. But I don't totally agree with what you said about were Nottingham Forest ready to sell him at that time. And I think that's the most important key part to this, is if Nottingham Forest weren't ready to sell him, that's why he's had a disruptive start to the beginning of the season. Because what I'm looking at is all the players that were here before the start of the season have all done well. And they've all got to Ange's system and all worked. It's all been the one. It's only him that really came in after, and he was disrupted by injuries, been disrupted by left and right, and this, that, and the other. And it's only now we're starting to see. Ash, your point, because you wanted to talk about Brennan.
I think we pretty much nailed it, to be fair. I mean, the only thing I could add to that is, for me, he's a young man, and I just need to see that vim from him, because being in the Ange system or playing for Ange, you just have to be brave. And sometimes I feel like he just lacks just a little bit of bravery in front of goal at times. like you said, explosive pace, correct? I want to see him do that every time. As soon as you're 1v1, that's all I want to see. He's running in behind is perfect. I like it. I like the way he presses. He does it well. When he first came, I agree with you guys. His chest was tight. Do you know what I'm saying? People say, "Raw, this is guy fit." Like, I swear he's a professional footballer. What was he doing at Forest? But the demands are a different level, and he was realizing, "Raw, you know what? These men kick the ball a little bit different." So I just think if he did have that preseason, and I think, like you said, Poch says it all the time, I need a preseason with these guys. That never happens. And I do think that would have helped him at least with the fitness side, because at times I feel like Porro is exposed when he pushes on and he's not getting back. You see what I'm trying to say?
No.
If he was a little bit fitter.
To cover. That's why SAR's crucial. But anyway, we're not talking about SAR.
Yeah, that's true. No, facts. No, you're not lying. You're not lying. I agree with that. And I agree with that. But there's certain times I'm like, right, I need a 4-4-2 in that kind of solid block. And I need, sometimes when I've seen Porro out of position, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Johnson, what are you doing? That's what I'm wondering. What are you doing? I know what SAR's doing, but what are you doing, Johnson? And I just think it's fitness. It's hard to get all the way back and then get all the way up. It's nuts.
100%.
But for me, I'm saying, for finishing, there's certain times when I'm like, bro, like, I think it was it Brighton? The ball's kind of like Højbjerg's put the ball in, you know? Everyone's brushing Højbjerg, but he's put a ball in to Johnson. The ball's bounced it, half bounce, half volley. I'm like, take it. He's taking an extra touch. Why are you doing that, my guy? Why? You should have, like, that's what I'm saying. You need to, in this system, you have to have that that conviction, and it will come. For me, it will come. It will come. Because City, he's away from his family. He looks a bit like a mummy's boy. I can't lie to you. He looks a little bit of a sweet boy. I see the little curly hair, little goofy teeth. I said, nah, you need to be a bit more rough. Coming to North London, Tottenham, you know. Look at N17. No, we don't have that. So,
right, bro. Don't mind arguing, you know.
Hey, listen. Shake him a bit and say, look, like, you only got to rip the holes in the socks. Like, that's what I want to do. Rip holes in his socks and say, look, let's get them. Let's go. But I like the way he started, though. Against Sheffield United, I was impressed because he scored that goal, but it was offside. And then against Arsenal, he started on fire. But once Maddison's here, listen, and he starts looking up, because Maddison, he's like the Kane. He's like 1, 2, and then you're in. Boom. Johnson just needs to be ready, because I think when Bentancur came back in the side, sorry to go on, but when Bentancur came on, he don't do that. When he passed it, Johnson wasn't on his bike. He wasn't expecting it. It's like, wow, the ball's coming fast. I wasn't like, so now he's playing with better midfielders that are going to pass it quicker.
Even Lo Celso, Ashmatic. I think once we get that synergy, once Brennan Johnson realizes, right, I can stay on the shoulder and then I can go. Because in behind, he has got so much talent. He's got burners for days. This man won't stop running. He will tear defenders apart. I think we all know that. But once you have Bentancur, once you have Lo Celso, once you have maybe Kulusevski interchanging with Maddison, where they both have the creativity, I generally think we're going to see a different
question. Does anyone think that Maddison could play out wide or no? Is that a no-no?
Interchanging, 100%.
Left. He could play on the left.
I just wanted to throw it out there. All right, cool. All right, next question.
I can see it.
So that brings me on. You know what? I did want to talk about Conor Gallagher, but I don't think we have time because I wanted to get you lots. I just don't get it. But it might be coming the next question. So, boys, all right. Drăgușin signed, right? We're not talking about him, right? So, and I did this on Sunday with our match reaction with the boys there, and I'd like to get you lots' opinion. And anyone in the chat who hasn't seen it, I want to get your two as well, right? So my question to all of you is, I'm giving you two signings. I'm Daniel Levy, right?
Well,
Ryan,
can I come down there?
Don't hate me too much. No, I'm giving you money. I'm giving you money this time. I'm actually going to give it to you, right? I'm giving you two signings, yeah? Drăgușin signed, so that's going to be free this month. My first question is, who do you realistically think we can sign, right? That you want. And the next question is, who do you think's an unrealistic signing, but you'd love to see come to Spurs, right? Because apparently the one I picked on Sunday is now being linked with Spurs today, right? But I won't get into that, right? And I might tell you that afterwards who I picked. But Jack, let's start with you.
I think I know who the player you probably mentioned to us today, but I won't go there. And I think he's a good signing as well, but not someone I would go maybe right away. Do you want my unrealistic one first? Shall I put it out there?
Yeah, let's go for your unrealistic one first.
Okay. This would be a real statement signing, very unrealistic, but I would love to see in a Spurs shirt, and has been linked with Spurs on multiple occasions. He might not be a typical Ange signing, but he's a statement signing. He's someone that would show a real sign of intent, and that'd be Lautaro Martinez. I feel like a serious goal scorer, someone who's fluid across the front line, and someone who can be that real statement signing, that real figurehead where you're like, you've got Son, Lautaro Martinez, Johnson. That is a scary front three. You've got pace, you've got finishing, and you've just got people that can interchange. So I think that'd be my unrealistic signing.
Your realistic one. So you've got Drăgușin. Who's your one that you think Spurs should be by the time January 31st? Is it January 31st comes that we should be getting?
So we've already got Drăgușin, right? He's a finished. He's done. Okay, who would I like as well? You're gonna hate this one, Marlon, but I'm gonna put it to you anyway. And I actually think Conor Gallagher would be a good signing for Tottenham Hotspur. And but it's all about opinions. And fair enough. I see Brian shaking his head, but I'm gonna give you my reasonings.
No, go ahead, because
he might not be the perfect football player, but he might be perfect for Postecoglou. He relies on winning the ball high up the field, energy, winning the ball back straight away. And I think in an 8 role, he could seriously do that, cover Fassar brilliantly. He's got technical ability, and I think he has the leadership skills at a young age, which Postecoglou would appreciate. And I just feel like he's someone... Look, we can criticise Pochettino as much as we like, but we all loved him at one point and we all backed him to the hills. He's captaining Conor Gallagher ahead of the likes of Thiago Silva, which in my opinion speaks volumes. And I think Conor Gallagher, homegrown, never stops running, can pick up, but can score long-range goals. I think he would be a smart signing if we could get him for a relatively cheaper fee, like 40 million.
Now, look, I'm not debating Conor Gallagher. Look, I'm not debating here Conor Gallagher's... I'm not saying he's a crap player, right? I think he's a very good player, and I think his best time was at Palace, right, when he under Vieira for that season.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't know what he brings to Spurs right now. I get it. I get what people are saying. I think we could go and get better. That's me personally.
That's the only thing I'd argue is.
I think we could. Because at the end of the day, Lloris is gone, so we've got another 4 in place now up for grabs, right? Yeah. So I think we could go find half the price, cheaper, and not deal with Chelsea. Right, I think we could go elsewhere, and I think there's.
Would you agree with me and say he's been one of their best players this season? I think him and Cole Palmer. I agree. I think him and Cole Palmer have been top.
I think Conor Gallagher has done a lot of running about, a lot of effort, but has nothing to show for it. Where Cole Palmer does. That's just me. And I think we're all looking because Chelsea are doing that crap. I think he might be part of that problem because he hasn't got the quality that Chelsea need right now. He's not the only one, right? Because you can sit there and go, Chelsea haven't got a striker, right? That's fine, but we don't have a striker. So you're asking us to bring him in, and we've got a striker that scored the same amount of goals as Sterling this year, same amount of goals as Cole Palmer. That's where Richarlison's at, right? So you're asking then, Son's the only one. Like, I'm not Nicholas Jackson. 3 goals came against a 10-man Spurs or 9-man Spurs, so I can discount that straight away. But for me, I just personally think Spurs should be looking elsewhere. That's me. And I get he brings energy. I get everything you're saying, and I completely agree with you. I don't disagree. I just think we can get cheaper, better, and we probably have something similar, if not around in our academy. That's just me personally.
Fair enough.
Ash, because you were about to say something. Sorry.
Oh, what my unrealistic signing?
Oh no, I don't want that yet. I was thought you were going to talk about Conor Gallagher. That was all.
Conor Gallagher. Yeah, I've watched him closely this season, especially the last 3 games. I wanted to see what the hype was. I was in WhatsApp groups. Are you guys watching him? Just to make sure people aren't just going on YouTube and watching him. Because I looked at him at Palace, and I did like that position when he was playing that 8/10. I thought that
he was mostly playing 10, right? So you're then asking him to come in and replace Maddison and Kulusevski, really, because that's, for me, like I said.
No, well, this is where I differ. This is where I differ from most Spurs fans. I personally would like to eventually see Spurs play with 2 10s, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I saw my critique for Sarr was my critique for Sarr was that he's not scoring enough goals. I didn't mind that he didn't have a creative bone in his body, but I wanted to see goals. If you're not going to create goals, that's what I need. I need from a box-to-box midfielder, I need goals. And then he answered me in that last game. He scored a goal before he got injured. Yeah. And I said, all right, it's there. I knew he could do it because he did it in France. And he was scoring goals at France. I said, why has he stopped scoring? I need that back. We need goals from all over the pitch. So then I'm looking at Conor Gallagher and I'm watching him close. And he just reminds me of Skip. I can't lie to you. But be real. He reminds me of Skip only because what he does, he plays in that double pivot. He plays deep. He gets the ball, and it's his shape. Sometimes what he does, if he's like turning side on, he could see like the pitch. You know what I'm saying? He can see what's in front of him. But a lot of the time, he keeps the ball ticking. There's nothing wrong with it. But because he can't see what's behind him, he has to go backwards and he has to go sideways, which doesn't allow your team to progress the ball. But you see Cole Palmer, his body shape's different and his energy is different because I can tell when a player wants it. I can tell when he wants it. I'm not saying Gallagher's shy. He's not. But I'm just saying in terms of like attributes, I want technical players that in tight spaces, you can either beat a man by dribbling, using a bit of drop a shoulder, which Palmer has, or when you've got that ball, you can do that Hollywood pass, you can switch it. Gallagher tries it, but I don't think he's got that football IQ for the elite level for where we're trying to go, if that makes sense. He does do it. He does do it. Don't get me wrong. And the stats say that he's a progressive passer, but I'm just saying sometimes he might overplay it. And it's the footballing decisions I'm looking at. And I do like sometimes his stats are high on crosses. I've seen that. His long balls, his crosses, they're not bad. You know what I mean? But when I was just watching him, I'm like, I'm not looking at Chelsea. I'm only looking at him. Yeah. I'm like, I get what Poch likes him because you need a person in that midfield that's going to control it. They're not going to lose it. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though there was one game, he was horrific. He kept losing the ball. He was having an absolute stinker. So I've seen the good and the bad. But it just depends on how Ange utilizes him as a player. If Ange can use him and say, look, I want you to play more front-footed. I want you to play high up the pitch. Yeah. I do want that defensive responsibility because sometimes his challenges do go, it doesn't always get it right. He does give away needless free kicks, which can cost teams. Do you know what I'm saying? But he is combative. I do admit that.
But when I say I don't know if he's the perfect player, but perfect for the way Postecoglou wants to play football.
Yes, I can agree with that. I can get it.
If he wants him and he thinks I'm going to mold this player into the perfect number 8, and he's got the work rate off the ball, and I think he's got the ability to mold into the player where he can play those balls through the line, be on the half turn, be more lively like Cole Palmer. Then that's why I'm all ears for this signing. But I can totally see when I've watched him a lot, totally as well. I've just looked at it a slightly different perspective in the fact that the work he does off the ball, and I think he has got the ability to have that creativity as well. That's why I'm looking at this signing as he could be really good.
Now, Morgan Gibbs-White, I know it's a different position. I just think...
Stop. Let Brian go, because I think he's going to mention...
First of all, let me just talk about Conor Gallagher, who not in a month of Sundays is coming to Tottenham Hotspur, and not in a month of Sundays should he come to Tottenham Hotspur. First of all, this deal is his agent saying you brought in players like Madden, like what's happening with Destiny and what's just happened with Sarr. He's seen people come in like Enzo, like Mudryk, like all the billions of players they brought in and got in on stupid money. This is the Chelsea captain. This is the blue at heart. And he's like, do you know what? I want some money. I deserve you. He's the captain of Chelsea. He's vice captain under Reece James. It's his agent talking. Apparently, Pochettino has said no sale. This is just absolute nonsense media talk. And I'm telling you now why I don't want him. Because Tottenham have a better player already at the football club who's currently on loan at Port Vale. And I'm talking about my boy Alfie. And I am telling you now, in 2 years, Alfie Devine is a much better player than Conor Gallagher ever will be. such is the class of Alfie. And again, people will know who watch me have seen me go on about, oh my God, the bun's here. My God. Do you know what? I even said on We Are Tottenham TV,
Original one.
when Drăgușin signs for Tottenham, he's still not even the most famous bun at Tottenham. Because there's one man there, my brother. Don't take away from the bun. He'll be the second best bun in Tottenham.
He's suddenly woken up, Brian. He's been asleep for the last 3 months.
Hey, no, listen. I found out. I've got reliable information. Danny Kiriakou was actually Santa Claus. He came out at Christmas, and he'll go back now. But yeah, listen. Conor Gallagher for me is a huge no-no. And then I think Inter Milan, just quickly going up, have just done deal of the window. Someone that I've spoken living in Canada, I speak regularly about in Tajon Buchanan. We have had
Canadian guy, right?
£7 million or euros.
Yeah.
We
From
have missed
Bruges.
an absolute ace in that guy. But then Ash went on to go and name a player, and people that watched me on Tottenham Tour and would have seen me, MGW, if we're going to bring in a homegrown midfielder, I think, and Ash will know from everything that he does, I think this guy can play anywhere in the midfield. I think he's that good. You can train him to play anywhere. People got to remember he's playing in advance for Notts Forest. If you go back and watch a game where it's Tottenham Hotspur 3, Wolves 2, at Molineux, the game that One Foyth gives away 2 penalties, a 17-year-old makes his home debut by the name of Morgan Gibbs-White.
I remember that.
And tears us to shreds.
Yeah.
We got the win, tore us to shreds. I want more. I would listen. Homegrown. If we're going to splash money on an English midfielder, that's exactly who it should be.
Where do you play him, Brian, out of interest? Where do you think his best role? Where do you play him? Where's his best role?
I think at the moment it is the Maddison role. And listen, let's face it, when Maddison is there. But if you look at it, I think Morgan Gibbs-White has the attributes, the skill set, and the footballing brain to be able to play anywhere in that midfield 3. I don't see Gallagher being able to do all 3. I don't think
he can play deeper. Do you think Morgan
I
Gibbs-White
think he can play wherever the hell Ange Postecoglou. I think literally this guy, given Ange and coaching and the players that he'll play around with, can play anywhere. I think this guy is so wildly underrated. I mentioned it in a few things. I was on Sean Butler's stream and some person was like, oh, what's he talking about? It's lucky he's in Canada because he doesn't know football. Because obviously living in Canada makes you immune from talking and knowing football.
Only you, Brian. Only you.
Yeah, only me, of course. Look how he played against Manchester United. Look how instrumental he was against Newcastle. We've got to stop as football teams going, oh, he plays for Forest, he can't do it for Spurs. Or he plays for this one, he can't do it at this level. I think when you say unrealistic signing this window,
yeah,
Morgan Gibbs-White is the one I would take every single. This guy is going to be exceptional. I would love him at Tottenham Hotspur. I would take him over any midfielder that you could give me this season.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Right, because some people have mentioned it, and I'd love to see him at Spurs. You say give him any midfielder, but what about Eze? Who would you take? Eze or Gibbs-White?
I wanted him over Maddison, to be honest, because I didn't know about Maddison's. The thing I think Eze would have brought us that Maddison didn't, or I thought Maddison couldn't, was bringing the ball forward from defence and running past players. His passing, his eye for a pass, his creation. But then in the Manchester United game, I remember Maddison taking the ball from our edge of our area and just taking it. And I was like, my God, I haven't seen this for him. I hadn't even seen the influential side that he has. Maddison has impressed me in the things that I thought he couldn't do. I knew the things he could do, but he's really impressed me with the things I didn't think he could do. That I thought Eze could give us. Eze, oh Jesus! Okay. I want 2 English midfielders. I want Eze. I just want us to buy 100 midfielders. But listen, I'm going to lay my cards on the table like I have done all the time. I am very, very biased in just making sure there's a pathway for Alfie. That's all I really care about. So Alfie will be coming back, but yeah. It's tight for me, and David's gives White over. And Happy New Year, David, and Happy New Year, everyone. By the way, Gibbs White is to me an exceptional talent. That do you know what? I'm going to stick with David now. I am going to go Gibbs White over Eze.
Ooh,
I am.
the baller, Eze. He just screams to me a Tottenham N17 signing, the flair, the ability.
The only reason I'm going with Gibbs White is I think he has the capabilities, I'll say, to play all three midfield positions. I don't think that of Eze. So that's the only reason I'm going with Gibbs White over Eze.
That's a fair point.
And who's your realistic signing, Brian? Who's your one you want to bring in that needs to come in?
Realistic.
Who you want? Who you want? Not who the club wants. Who you want? Who you can see in this system?
Well, it would have been Tajon Buchanan, but obviously Inter have got there ahead, and there's been the here we go. I wouldn't mind. Do you know what? If I had to go realistic, and I'm only saying realistic, because I think we could do a deal. I really like. I can't remember his name now. Fulham's left back,
Anthony Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Serious player.
If I could go for a left field one, that would be probably who I go for.
Love that.
So, no, that's interesting because you've actually gone for the left back position to be up as well. Which when you do something like this, no one has said fullbacks. Everyone has completely gone like either across the three or have gone at centre back. But yeah, very, very interesting. Go on, Ash. Who's your two?
Go on, Brian. Answer it. Go on. It's all right. You can answer.
There you go. No, I'm going with, but I'm just checking. Someone's just put Fabrizio's just mentioned something.
Oh, that's that way it's coming in. Is it the ball?
Let's have a look.
Proper announcement.
I'm just going through right now. I can't see anything about Drăgușin. I can't see that he's tweeted anything about Drăgușin unless he's commented on someone's. He certainly hasn't tweeted. The only thing he tweeted recently was 9 minutes ago.
Yeah, I've got that.
And it's about a Brazilian defender.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us.
Cool. All right, guys. So my unrealistic one, and hear me out.
Oh, there is one by Fabrizio, just to let you know.
Okay, go on.
Relax and patient. Deal remains on right track. He replied to under the Daily Hotspur. So apparently it's on the right track, but we'll see where that goes.
Oh, brilliant. The right track, just like Porro was for a month.
Yeah. So basically, hear my rationale, right? I'm gonna go with Adrien Rabiot. He impressed me at the World Cup. It was him and Tchouaméni. Those were the two players that stood out for me in midfield. I didn't know Rabiot was so hard working off the ball, and his quality on the ball for me really stood out. So the way I'll get that deal done is Højbjerg goes to Juventus, and Rabiot comes over with some money on top.
No. The reason why I'm shaking my head, right? The reason why I'm shaking my head is because someone tweeted today, right, and went, "This is the reason why Jadon Sancho will never come to Spurs," right? And it's basically Ange talking about personalities. Yeah, is a good point. Is bigger than the player's ability. He says there's not much between. He basically said what it is the character. Mm-hmm. Rabiot brings baggage from no matter where PSG Juventus, they bring baggage. So I completely agree with what you said. It's his personality.
It's true.
What we've heard would never fit with Ange.
No, it's facts. It's facts. Still think he's a quality player.
One more unrealistic, and the only reason I didn't think of him because the only reason I have waxed lyrical about this guy, and it was Richo65 that just made my brain go into overdrive. I've been talking about him all season, but there's absolutely no chance of it happening because of our relationship with this club going downhill because of Richarlison, Dele, and FFP. I would take Branthwaite in an absolute heart.
Oh, yeah. What a sign!
It's just this one. When you talk unrealistic, you're talking stratospherically, not a chance of happening. I think Branthwaite is. I'm putting him right up there. By the time he retires, I think you're talking one of the best English defenders we've generated since John Terry and Ferdinand. Wow. That's how high I rate him to be. I think he's exceptional.
Serious defender. I think even playing in Everton, he's thriving. I totally agree with that one. And I just think they're going to command a serious fee for him. They need to get some revenue in. So realistically, they're going to hold out for a big bid there, and I think you'll have in the summer a lot of the big boys sniffing around him as well. So I think that's a great shout, and I think someone actually in the comments there put another great shout, and that would be Chiesa. What, in my opinion, unbelievable baller. Had injury problems, ACLs, was linked with Chelsea, I think Liverpool for a high price. But if we could tempt someone like him to come in, I think he'd fit that Postecoglou role perfectly.
Can I ask a question? Because you've both mentioned, like, even Ash there's mentioned Rabiot and you mentioned Chiesa, right? And obviously they want Højbjerg. Would any of you, and this came up at the weekend, would any of you not try and do a deal with Vlahovic to...
Yeah, I would.
Go on, Brian.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. I think in Fiorentina, he was playing in a more attacking style team. He played in a 4-2-3-1, I believe. Was it 4-2-3-1? But anyway, 4-3-3 actually. It's in a 4-3-3, sorry. And yeah, the Fiorentina manager, he plays more attacking. And then when he made the transfer, the big money move to Juventus, Allegri is known to kind of kill youth. One place you don't want to go. And obviously, I think he made that mistake by seeing, you know, the big name, the big club. He went over there thinking, you know, he might be able to change things. And yeah, unfortunately, he stunk it out. And I think he's suffered from moving there. The style of play, the defensive play, the kind of Conte-ish kind of, you know, low block, mid block kind of doesn't really suit him. And I think if he came over in an Ange system, I think he would be a better quality because he can do what Richarlison does at the moment. Richarlison at the moment is holding up that ball with a bit of quality now. Before he wasn't doing that. But with Vlahovic, I think his first touch is excellent. I think also his dribbling goes unnoticed. He can actually dribble. For a 6'3" guy, his dribbling is really good. So not only you got a target man, so you could like be a focal point, but actually on his feet, he's quite good and he's quite strong on the ball. A lot of people don't realize, but he's a Serb, innit? He's one of those guys, Eastern European bloc. That man are physical. So he's got, not only for a tall man, he's got good balance and good dribbling ability, but he's left-footed. He's got a good finish on him. And at Fiorentina, there was a reason why he was scoring like 4 goals per game. Like, he was doing some mad numbers in a top league. People always forget that. So that's just my opinion. I don't know.
I don't think he cuts it. I wanted him when we were linked with him last January before he went Juve. I was going mad for him. And then the rumours came out that he wanted to be on par with Harry Kane for wages, and I was like, piss off. I was like, piss right off. As much as I wanted him,
it depends on Harry Kane's wages, though, Brian. It could be like $100,000 a week.
Mate, we know what he was on in that, but you know, it was like literally, you were coming in, and I wanted him. And there's things where I think transfers have fallen apart because of a certain person, but there's times where I'm like, do you know what, Levy, well done, because there's no way this man comes in, or any player comes in at that age and demands the money Harry Kane was on, whether that's agent talk or whatever. And he made his choice and he went to Italy. Do I think he's a great player? Yeah. Do I think he will improve us or is the kind of striker we need? No. And then someone's mentioned another player I've waxed lyrical about, and I'd rather, if we were going to go and spend the money on him, I'd rather we save up and wait and put a bid in for Evan Ferguson at Brighton.
Now you're talking unrealistic.
That's what I'm saying. We've got to remember, we're talking, Vlahovic comes in, is going to demand a commanding fee. He's also going to command a very, very heavy wage.
And that's
why we're going through this data analysis now, and we're picking the right players, and we're finding the right players. I don't think Vlahovic suits Tottenham the way we're playing and what we're doing right now. I just don't. I don't think, maybe in a Conte or a Mourinho.
Yeah. Do you know what though? Do you know what? And this is where I completely agree with what you guys are saying and agreeing with the system and something like that. But I have to use them as an example, right? Because everyone said if they bought a striker, right, man up top who couldn't fit into the play, they wouldn't be the same, right? But they ended up doing the treble with him. And Haaland doesn't fit anything that Pep Guardiola was about. And sometimes you have to pick out these players who don't fit your style that sometimes will come in and do a job. And I think that's where we're at with Postecoglou at the moment. And I think, because when I saw Celtic against Real Madrid, right? And they completely outplayed them for how long? But they just weren't clinical up top because they didn't have that striker, right? And I think for us, I think we might fall into and I don't know if Richarlison can do it or not. I'm gonna look. I don't think he can, but he can't. But I think sometimes when it comes to strikers and forwards, and it comes to a certain way attacking teams play, sometimes you don't need someone that fits it. You need someone who's going to put the ball in the back of the net and do a job. And that's where I sit on the striker scenario, because Haaland did not suit, and everyone can sit there, did not suit the way Man City played, but look at what he did in the end. He was just that end piece. And that's the only way I see it, because we all told Pep he needed a striker, and he kept telling us no kind of scenario. And he went and got one. And even he said he was surprised at how Haaland settled into City. He just didn't realize how good he was. So sometimes, it can be deceiving.
Oh, another one. Oh, let me just change my unrealistic then, because is that allowed or not? I'm gonna say Almada. Diego Almada. He plays for he's an Argentinian international, but he plays in the MLS. Similar to that player from
Why is that unrealistic?
I still think it will happen, but it's a player I really like. He plays for Atlanta. He plays for Atlanta FC, but
when I said I'm not someone who plays in the MLS, that it's realistic. It's just not. It's who you want.
Yeah, no, that's a guy I think I really like him. He's young as well, fits the mold, can play the 8, physical, can score goals, technically good, plays that. Something that I like. But if I'm going to go for a realistic player, I'm just going to go for Bakayoko. I think we can get that one over the line.
Someone said him as well.
Bakayoko, I think he just reminds me of Doku so much. The shape, the build of him, the way he dribbles, the way he crosses, shoots. I just said, if we had that on the wing, I think if Son's not there, I would like a different profile, someone that likes to go on the outside or can go on the inside. He can do both. He's majority left-footed. He's only 20, but the numbers he's putting up, goal contribution wise, is insane. I know it's in the lower league in the Eredivisie. I can't say the name, but the Dutch league. But he's literally doing bits for me, and I think if he goes to the right club, I think he will shine. And I looked at Simmons at the time as well. Simmons, I think he was the one to kind of replace him at the time because he was their main guy at PSV. But fair play.
That's a good shout for an unrealistic one, but he might be gettable.
130. But that's me.
So, guys, thank you. It's the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer. And hope you've enjoyed it.
Oops.
Jack.
Yes, mate.
Thank you for coming on. Absolute pleasure. Make sure you're not a stranger, and make sure you get James to come on as well, because I know he was in the chat and he's been hiding. So,
to be fair, I think he's been really busy with work recently. I was like, mate, this will be a good one tonight, but he's just been busy with his stuff, and I'm sure he'd love to come on at some point. Just like we would love to have you three on at some point. We're starting to actually ramp it up. We were a bit lazy last year, but I've started a new series. So if anyone's interested, I've done a little. Got inspiration from Sean, done a little walking and talking with Jacko series, which has started off quite well. And I'm just going on other channels at the minute. Did an interview with Sean on his the other day, and just enjoying talking Tottenham and seeing where our channel goes. So thanks for having me on tonight, mate. No,
it's been our pleasure, and your opinions have been greatly appreciated. Even though I've argued with all of you, this is what I have to do. It's all love. We all support Spurs at the end of the day. Brian. My love for you can't get any more, mate. But thank you for coming on today, mate. Thank you for coming on. I think it's been well appreciated, and thank you for all your support you've given our channel over the last year or so. You've seen us grow from 200 subscribers in January last year to over 1,000 now. So I can't thank you enough for the help you've done for this channel. And I personally just wanted to say that thank you to you.
Guys, it's always great to come on these channels. Obviously, I've done watch-alongs with you guys. That's where we first met. We've been on streams. We've got to get you three on Tottenham on tour. Marlon, you've obviously been on. I think Ash is yet to make his debut, which is something that is changing dramatically quick. But yeah, it's always good. And you said sorry for keeping you for 2 hours, mate. It's 6:45 here. My evening's just beginning, mate. All you are lightweights going to bed. It's 7:15 in the evening here in Toronto. Now, listen, guys, it's always a pleasure coming on this channel. You're great guys. So is Haz. We'll have to do more together as channels. And Jack, And yeah, thank you for the love you gave. And like I said, Tottenham on tour are on Monday to Friday. Cockerel Doodle Do, where my barometer of rage will get fiercer and fiercer with every passing day, probably.
No, cheers. And Jack, anything coming up on Spurs related in the next week or so?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, starting my new series every day in January. I'll be going on a walk. I'm investing in a microphone. Starting the production levels trying to go up a bit because the windy walks have been a bit of a struggle. But a lot of people have shown love, especially since I went on with Sean and done a little interview, and some people seem to enjoy it. So if you like what I've got to say, James is very good himself. We're a good team together. So please come over, watch the walks. Loads of content coming up. We did an interview with Sandro. We've got a few good contacts, and we're just enjoying talking Tottenham.
Nice, man. Guys, I want to say as well, thanks for coming on as well. Appreciate you guys, especially in the comments as well. You guys helped to make the show. Everyone's football knowledge is on par, and we're just growing I feel like as a unit. Everyone's helping each other, expanding each other, pushing each other in different ways with all of our opinions as well. So just want to kind of, carry on what Marlon said, man. Big you guys up. Thanks for coming on. Bless up every time. And hopefully it's not the last, guys. Don't be a stranger. But yeah, man, that's what I got to say. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year. So this week for us, you got rivals tomorrow because Hass is on holiday, isn't he?
Yeah. Rivals with him or without him. We've got rivals tomorrow. I've got a few guests that are confirmed. One's going to confirm tomorrow, but it's going to be a Man U, Chelsea, Spurs link up with an Arsenal and a little sprinkle as well. So should be interesting to hear what the Arsenal boys have got to say for themselves.
Yeah, there is. I think the other Haz is doing a preview show tomorrow, which
he is 3 o'clock.
So he's going to be doing one tomorrow. We're debating whether we're going to do a match reaction after the Burnley game. I think I might just do it by myself. If Ash is available, I might just bring us on so we can just do a half an hour segment, talk about it, FA Cup. But yeah, we're back next Tuesday. Talking more transfers, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
with new guests as well. So
I've got defenders. Someone mentioned in the comments, Scalavi, he's at Atalanta. He's dope.
Yeah. So we're going to talk defenders next year, and hopefully not the fallout of the FA Cup, and talk about who the hell played and actually who done well. But no, thank you to both Jack and Brian. But as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.